Well, Timothy West is a living legend. He's been in big films, big dramas.
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
He's played everyone from Churchill to Stalin to a curmudgeonly old devil in EastEnders.
I'd tear her apart for what she'd done to you.
I can't think of anything that I desperately want kept quiet. We shall see. Maybe Piers will have thought of something.
He's had an amazing career, despite having all sorts of traumas in his private life. His wife, Prunella, one of the legends of British television, has had Alzheimer's for the last 15 years, so he's had a lot to deal with. He thinks I'll go a bit easy on him tonight, I'm sure. But why should I? He's a tough old bruiser.
I don't mind him being combative if he's got something he wants to argue about. Piers, I'm very much looking forward to meeting you for the first time. Let's have fun.
Timothy, how are you?
I'm all right. You're going to call me Timothy. People only call me Timothy if they're cross with me.
What do you like to be called?
Well, it'll be Tim, all right. Is it? Tim? Okay.
I think Tim would be fine. I mean, most people
yes.
actually think you're Sir Timothy. They think you've been knighted, but you haven't actually been knighted yet.
Well, they haven't told me.
You should have been knighted by now, I think.
I don't think so. No.
Do you think?
No.
I think you should have been.
Oh, no.
Timothy, in your 60-year career as one of Britain's most distinguished actors, you've played a remarkable range of people. Churchill 3 times. What kind of preparation did you do to do Churchill?
Well, I mean, we all know the way he delivered his speeches and what he sounded like, because he used to work on them very, very intensely beforehand. He used to rehearse a lot. So it was a very, very conscious delivery. But you think, well, that can't work when you're just asking for a cup of tea or a glass of brandy, in his case.
Can you still do a good Churchill?
I think so. I'm going to do it now, because you can't afford it. No.
We have very deep pockets, Tim, very deep pockets. Yeah. Give us a little burst, go on.
Well, I am sitting here listening to this man, Piers Morgan, or whatever his name is, and he's asking me to do an imitation of myself, which I find rather distasteful. You want him more? No, you don't.
You've also played Mikhail Gorbachev in a TV movie, and you were filming in Manchester, and you nipped off from playing this great, heroic figure to have a look around the Coronation Street tour.
Yes, I did. I was rather fascinated. So I slipped out of a side door, and I was in my costume and makeup for Gorbachev with the birthmark and glasses, and I shouldn't have been there. And somebody, one of the workmen, said, "Hey, who are you? What are you doing here? Do you work here?" And I said, "No, I'm the General Secretary of the United Soviet Socialist Republic." And he said, "Oh, well, you'll have to ask at the main gate."
Did you get in as
Yes,
Gorbachev?
I did, actually, yes.
And did you carry on pretending you were him?
Yes, I did.
They actually just let you in as the Russian leader into the Coronation Street set.
It would be dangerous to keep him out.
You've travelled the world as an actor. You've been recognised in some very strange places. You've also been misidentified. And there was a wonderful occasion when a fellow holidaymaker insisted that you were somebody he knew from his workplace. How did the conversation go?
He said, "Oh, hello, I haven't seen you lately at the centre." And I thought, BBC Television Centre. "No, I haven't been, but it's still going, is it?" I said, "Well, yes, as far as I know, yes. Yes, I can see there are a lot of things going on." And so he said, "Well, but it's still in Aylesbury, is it?" I said, "No." So he said, "It is you, isn't it? Aylesbury Job Centre." And I said, "No, it isn't, I'm afraid. Oh, what do you do then?" I said, "Well, I'm an actor." He said, "Oh, no."
Tim, you've been lighting up stage and screen for 60 years with someone very special by your side.
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
Timothy West, the godfather of British drama.
It's time you all realised who I am and what I am.
Tim West is an actor of supreme capability and huge diversity.
Mrs. Sparsit, Mum, may I trouble you to take charge of the teapot?
Timothy is absolutely British acting royalty.
Timothy's career spans almost 6 decades.
Look, I want to know what I'm getting into, Jensen. What's it for?
He's played nearly 250 characters on stage and screen, from Kings of England
I am resolved to be known by the name of Edward.
to tough guy cops.
I'm on the big fish, George Minton, because I'm the governor.
He has charisma, he has star quality.
He could go on stage and read the telephone directory and you would be enchanted.
You see Tim West's name in the cast list, you know it's worth watching.
And at the age of 80, Timothy's become the grand old man of soap, with major roles in both Coronation Street and EastEnders.
It's the time you spend with people, that's what counts.
By Timothy's side throughout most of his career has been his wife, the actress Prunella Scales.
Hello, dear.
What you doing?
I'm kissing you, dear.
Well, don't.
Timothy and Prunella have been married for nearly 52 years and have 2 sons, Sam, who's an actor, and Joe.
Tim is just a lovely person. I continue to find him challenging, attractive and wise.
They adore each other.
She is essential in his life, and he is essential in hers.
One way and another, we've lasted. It's very good.
The couple have starred together in the theatre and on TV.
I don't try and make my wife out a liar, do I, Annie?
Well, no, Alvin. Not really.
I love working with Tim because he's highly intelligent and a very good actor, and we understand each other.
Go on, walk up there.
Oh, no.
Don't be shy. Go on, walk up the boulevard.
They draw on each other's skills and they've made each other better actors over the years.
Timothy and Prunella share a lifelong passion for narrowboating, and to celebrate their golden wedding anniversary, they embarked on a tour of Britain's canals for a TV series.
Right through. Cast off, please.
Right you are.
There's just a harmony between the pair of them, which is lovely to watch.
Well, congratulations.
Oh.
We've reached the top.
Oh, well done.
They're just so sweet together and so funny.
Look out, Timmy, you're going to hit the... Ah! What's the matter with him?
But as they travelled the waterways of Britain and Europe, Timothy and Prunella knew that life would never be quite the same again. She'd been diagnosed with a form of Alzheimer's disease.
I think my mother's memory loss is very sad.
She's still very much herself, but you don't always have access to that.
You do repeat things.
Oh, yes.
You tell the same story 4 times in an evening, but that's all right.
Oh, poor Andrew. I don't know how you stood it.
I think it's quite difficult because Prue's his best friend.
They've been so close intellectually, that's what their relationship has been about. And that's changed.
It requires an enormous amount of patience and love and understanding.
Mum really appreciates the way my dad sort of looks after her and is there for her to hang on to.
Whatever the challenges, Timothy and Prunella have resolved to carry on living life to the full.
They know how to celebrate their relationship, to make the most of it and to really live.
We're at the summit!
Hooray!
They want to enjoy the time they've got left and live in the moment.
Cheers.
They're a wonderful, wonderful couple, and long may they remain so.
You've been married for over 50 years. How important has Prunella been in your life?
Oh, absolutely vital, yes. We probably share the same idea about why we've stayed together so long. We say prolonged and frequent separations. I'm a travel freak. I love travel. I love moving around. And Prue really would be very happy for all the acting to be done on the internet. And she says she doesn't really like going out to the front door to collect the milk in the morning. But because we do spend a lot of our lives apart, we're always very pleased to see each other.
When you first met her, where were you both? What was the meeting?
We met in a really appalling television drama called She Died Young, subtitled by the cast None Too Soon. There was a television electrician strike, which by the time we ran out of recording time, it had not been resolved. So I turned to Prue, who was the nearest person, and we'd been having a sort of Times crossword flirtation during rehearsals, and I said, well, let's go to the pictures, and we did.
You old smoothie.
Yeah, smoothie, yeah.
Now, you had a remarkably romantic proposal.
Yes, it was. It was very beautiful. I was driving, and we were at a red light, and I thought, well, yes, could do it now, really. And as it turned green, I said, right, will you marry me? And Prue said, yes.
And what was it about her that you thought, this is the one for me?
The fact that I think we loved and respected each other on all sorts of different levels. The way we worked, the way we thought, the way we valued things, and our general attitudes about life, really. We just sort of thought it was going to work, and it has, yes.
I've got a picture from your wedding day. There we are.
Oh, gosh, yes.
What do you think when you see that? Other than your suit doesn't fit very well.
Right. I had some hair, yes.
See, typical actor, you're only looking at yourself.
Yeah,
is it your beautiful bride?
Yeah.
Can we start with the bride and then move back to you?
Yes, yes, indeed. Yes.
Your bride looks beautiful.
Yes, she does, yeah. And always has.
Let's get serious for a moment and talk about Prue and her Alzheimer's disease. It's something she's had for 15 years. What is the reality of living with Alzheimer's when it's in the family?
Well, it isn't actually Alzheimer's. It's a related kind of dementia. The sad thing is that you just watch the gradual disappearance of the person that you knew and loved and were very close to, and there's a lot of her left, and we still, enjoy life, and there are a lot of things that Prue is able to enjoy, and we're able to do together. And if you live from day to day, it's manageable. It's when you start thinking of the past and thinking, oh, what a shame that she can't do that anymore, or that she doesn't appreciate that anymore, and we can't talk about this anymore. Then it's sad.
When did you first realise that there was a form of dementia that was creeping in?
Oh, a very long time ago, and it's stunned everybody that it's developed so slowly. I mean, mercifully, but it was a play that Prue was in, and I thought, it's not that Prue's forgotten her lines, or she's not saying the lines properly. It's just that I can see her thinking. She never delayed her responses, but it was just the difference between what she always had been, being entirely inside the character, as thinking, am I going to manage this? And I knew there was something wrong. But for quite a long time, didn't realise what it was.
You have both made that decision to talk about this publicly. How big a decision was that? Because it's very courageous for both of you, I would say, to do that.
Well, in a way it is, but in another way, not to do it would be dishonest, I think, particularly if we're going to appear on television together doing something. Enough people know about the condition to say, oh, well, why are they pretending that, why aren't they mentioning this? I just thought it was unfair, stupid and dishonest not to mention it, and not to keep people abreast of it.
What are the most difficult aspects of it?
Communication, really, yes. And perhaps, when we've been to a concert or we've been to a play or a film, there's nothing very much we can say about it afterwards because Prue will have a fairly hazy memory. She'll have enjoyed her evening, and she'll perhaps talk about the acting. She'll say what good acting, what very well taught people these are. But talk about the the actual what the play is saying, she's not able to cope with that very much.
Is it more frustrating for Prue or for you, do you think?
I should think it's very frustrating for Prue, that she's very kind and doesn't let on about it. It is frustrating for me, of course.
But at the same time, you've also suggested that it's also brought you closer together in a strange way.
I think we need each other very much, yes. Yes, and we're conscious of that.
You left the home when she was just 4 years old. Who do you blame more for that? You were born Timothy Lancaster West in 1934 in Bradford. Your father, the actor Lockwood West, was appearing in local theatre. Your mother, Olive Carlton Crowe, was also an actor. And you have a younger sister, Patricia. What was it like growing up in such a thespian family?
Well, it was a bit jumpy. We kept moving because of my father's work. I went to a number of schools. In fact, altogether, I went to 13 schools.
You were quite unruly at school.
I had an argument with a particular headmaster, put it that way. And I decided that I didn't want to be with him anymore, really.
It's not something you're married to. You can't just walk away.
Well, I did. And he obviously did the natural thing, saying, "Well, don't come back then." And so I was expelled. But only with that one school.
You're being very quick about this. So let me get this straight. You told your headmaster you had no wish to continue being.
No, I didn't tell him. I just got on my bicycle and rode off into the country on various occasions.
You just
I didn't even
rode
tell
off.
my parents. I played truant.
How did your parents react to this?
I think they sighed and moved me to yet another school, at which I was rather happier.
You were a war child. I mean, do you have a vivid memory of the wartime?
I do remember one morning waking up and thinking that it was sunrise, and it was time I got out of bed and I drew the curtains, and the whole of the city of Bristol was on fire, and the sky was just this livid pink colour, just like a sunrise. And I think that brought it home to me.
You also, early in your career, you were the box office manager at Frinton Summer Theatre in Essex,
yes,
where one of your jobs, probably not a coincidence this, was booking the usherettes.
Yes, it was, again, put me in a position of considerable power.
Did you abuse that power, Timothy?
Well, I think I was encouraged. There was this particular girl, and these girls were paid 10 shillings a night to be usherettes, and 10 shillings in those days, 1953 this was quite considerable. And so I seem to remember being taken behind the laurel bushes at the back of the theatre to be impressed with her suitability for the job.
So you were a victim of reverse casting couch, really?
Yes, really. Yes.
You're still smiling at the memory, I noticed.
Yes, absolutely.
Did she get the job?
Oh, yes. 3 nights a week.
Timothy, let's find out how the curtain rose on your acting career. Timothy was born in 1934, the eldest child of 2 actors, Lockwood and Olive.
Tim was, in a sense, born in a trunk. His parents were working in the professional theatre from the 1920s.
Timothy fancied entering the family business, but his parents weren't so keen.
I'm going to be like Dad, he said. I want to go into the theatre. Oh, no, you won't. He said, that's the last thing you're going to do.
He tried a few other things. He was a furniture salesman for a bit, and he worked at EMI as a recording engineer.
But Timothy's passion for the theatre proved irresistible.
Weekends, evenings, he'd be in a local drama group.
He would stay up quite late and then just fall asleep at work until his boss told him to leave. and go and follow his career in the theatre, which is what he really needed to do.
As Timothy pursued his dream, he'd also fallen in love with Jacqueline Boyer, an aspiring actress.
She was wonderfully charming and funny, and she made him laugh. And I think that's really what was at the heart of their relationship.
And she was pretty gorgeous too.
Timothy and Jacqueline married in 1956 when he was 21, and the couple soon had a baby, their daughter Juliet. He'd also begun to find work as an actor.
He learned his craft on the road, working around the country in repertory theatre.
He went where the work was, seasons in regional towns, playing second leads and occasionally young romantic leads.
Timothy did a different show a week and had to master these huge variety of acting styles right across the board.
While Timothy was building up his career, his home life was in trauma. Jacqueline was suffering with severe mental health problems and was admitted to a psychiatric hospital for treatment.
My mother was bipolar, and so pretty hard to live with, really.
He did say, I just found it so difficult to cope with her.
It was very painful, particularly as she had been such a wonderfully funny person to be with.
Jacqueline recovered at home while Timothy toured the country in theatre, and the pressures on their marriage proved too much to bear.
He wasn't happy. He clearly was not happy.
It was very hard trying to get a career going and being married to somebody with a mental illness and having a young baby.
After 5 years' marriage, Timothy and Jacqueline separated, and 2 years later, he married Prunella. He also joined the Royal Shakespeare Company and won his first roles on TV.
I saw a picture once of Jesus with his flock. I kept sheep as well.
But as Timothy's career took off, he began to lose regular contact with his daughter Juliet.
He was constantly away from home as a jobbing actor.
I didn't see him for years. I just got used to the fact that that's the way it was.
He talks about the years that he spent apart from Juliet as a void that he can't help looking into.
I did miss him, and it was quite difficult.
But 10 years ago, Juliet and Timothy began to repair their relationship.
We both wrote to each other, and we had a little bit of a pouring out of heartfelt feelings. The next time I saw him, I remembered the hug being a real, proper, strong, emotional hug.
That undeniable difficulty has turned into a great joy from a great sadness.
It's been absolutely lovely, and we've got much, much closer, and I feel that he's my dad now.
How do you feel when you hear that?
I'm very moved by it. Juliet's been wonderful, because she did have a very hard time trying to keep her mother together, really, and at a very early age, and not really feeling that she could make the leap to make friends with Prue and to be with me. But it's all ended happily, which is wonderful.
You left the home when she was just 4 years old and barely saw her for a long time after that, many, many years. What was the reality?
Well, it was partly physical, because Jacqueline married again and went to live in South Wales, and Juliet was with her. Also, I think I must have put up a sort of barrier, because I thought this is going to be very painful, and it's better in the same way that I never made any pretense about splitting up with Jackie. I said, this is all my fault, you know, blame me, and the friends who want to stick with Jackie and don't want anything to do with me, that's fine. I'd rather make a clean cut. I do feel guilty about it, but I also feel the sorrow that I've missed the time that fathers should spend with their daughters, you know, and be showing them things about life and introducing them to things. And in a way, it got quite difficult to sort of woo Juliet into my way of looking at life, which wouldn't have happened, I suppose, if I'd been very strong about it and said, look, I need to see my daughter X hours a week, you know, do all that sort of thing, but I didn't
But
do
to
it.
go years with no contact, who do you blame more for that, yourself or...?
Me, oh yes, yes, yes.
Did you not find it slightly unbearable to be annexed from your daughter like that?
Yes, I did, but it wasn't a sharp pang. You know, it was just something that gnawed, and I probably only became conscious of it really when Jackie died, and Juliet was more available, because also she was being looked after by Jackie's mother, who was a rather unapproachable person.
It must have been a tremendous relief when you and Juliet became close again.
Oh, wonderful. And
who made the first move, really, to make that happen?
I think she probably did. Partly getting her to a school. She went to Prue's old school, which, of course, brought us together immediately, even though there was a boarding school. I mean, we had a lot of things suddenly in common that we could share. So that was all right. Yeah.
Was there a moment, a cathartic moment? It was hinted that in the VT that there was a sort of moment when you shared a hug after writing to each other.
I think there must have been, yes. I can only remember it vaguely now, but I can remember the moment when I started to feel happy about it again.
Did you ever feel the need to apologise, or was it not that?
Oh, yes, I'm full of apologies, yes.
Which is the better soap, Coronation Street or EastEnders? You had two children with Fionnuala, Sam, who's an actor, and Joe, who works as a teacher, translator and computer programmer. In 1966, when Sam was born, you witnessed the birth of your child.
Prue was in labour for a rather long time, 30-something hours, and I was with her quite a lot of the time.
But you ran out of patience, didn't you?
Well, I was hungry.
And thirsty.
And thirsty. And Richard Bryars...
From The Good Life.
Yes. Had a house practically opposite Queen Charlotte, so he ran a sort of unofficial lying-in studio for expectant fathers. And Prue, immediately I left, of course, went into delivery. So she said, "Where's my husband? Where's my husband?" And I said, "Oh, you don't want him here." He said, yes, I do. That's the whole point. Here's some phone numbers. Ring his agent. Ring his father. Ring my mother. And eventually she thought, ring Richard Bryars. And there was Richard and me sitting there saying, "Isn't it awful, the pain that our little women have to go through in the state of..." Well, just a small one. They were knocking back the scotch. And finally they did ring and said, "Get over there now." And I ran across Goldthorpe Road. They hastily put on a mask and a gown and everything and put me in the lift. And I got there and just saw Sam popping out.
Just in time.
And I said, "Very good, no retakes."
Tim, the twists and turns of your acting career have taken you from King Edward to the Queen Vic. By the early 1970s, Timothy had emerged as a heavyweight of the British stage.
Ere I will break mine oath, this sword of mine that should offend your foes shall sleep within the scabbard at thy knee.
He's at the Royal Shakespeare Company in London and at Prospect Theatre Company, and he has really meaty roles.
England unkind to thy nobility.
He was established as a leading player and someone to be reckoned with.
But Timothy was virtually unknown outside the theatre world.
Tim was a well-kept secret. Audiences all over the country were seeing him, but only those who went to the theatre.
Timothy didn't land his first major TV lead role until he was 40, when he starred as King Edward VII.
Bother, Her Majesty. I'm sorry, but we'll simply have to persuade Her Majesty. Come, you must help me.
Edward VII was a watershed for Timothy because it made him famous.
An unexpected pleasure.
People didn't accept invitations on a Tuesday because everybody stayed in to watch Edward VII.
My first and melancholy duty is to announce to you the death of my beloved mother, the Queen.
People knew that a great actor had arrived.
Then Timothy went from costume drama to comedy in the 80s series Brass.
Tim played Bradley Hardacre as a monstrous tyrant.
I can't stand here talking all day. I've got men to lay off.
He was a shameless character. He was outrageous.
You won't see me starving in the gutter? No, son. I shall look the other way.
Brass did drive into people's heads that this is a man who can play any sort of part.
For nearly 30 years, Timothy remained one of the most in-demand actors in TV.
We must have the limitations on space weapons.
I remember seeing him in The Monocled Mutineer.
The insult is, madam, that you do not understand that this is the greatest conflict that mankind has ever experienced.
And I remember thinking, God, if I become an actor, I hope I'm half as good as this.
But as Timothy entered his 70s, his TV work dried up.
I remember talking to Tim at a point when he felt that he was getting too old. He'd fallen off the radar.
Tim felt casting directors thought he was dead.
It was a self-perpetuating thing. People didn't see him on air, so people didn't consider him the next time round.
But then Timothy got the chance to bring his classical acting experience to a soap.
You'd think that Timothy would be an unlikely choice for Coronation Street, but when we found out he was interested in playing the role, we jumped at it.
Mona Lisa, men have named you. You're so like the lady with the mystic smile.
He takes a shine to my character, Eva.
You're a beautiful, funny woman who's completely wasted around here.
He's absolutely fantastic.
It was a great shop window for his wonderful talents.
Timothy's impact on the show caught the eye of his rival, and in 2014, he moved from the Rovers to the Queen Vic to play curmudgeonly patriarch Stan Carter.
Leave.
Excuse me?
You heard. Just get your things and go.
Dad.
Tim took this character that should have been a monster.
What Tim brought to it was something that made you love this man.
If your mum had a full set of marbles, I'd tear her apart for what she'd done to you.
The subtleness in his performances is just incredible.
After a year on Albert Square, Timothy decided to call it a day with a death scene that moved the nation.
I dare anyone to watch it without crying.
Goes so quick. Be together.
He opened up his career to a whole different generation.
A man who's 80 years old, who suddenly, utterly reinvents himself, that's bloody fantastic.
How does appearing in a big soap opera change things for a jobbing actor?
I don't think it should, really. I mean, there was a time when soap actors were soap actors and they didn't do anything else, and other people didn't do soaps. But it's very different now. You know, people go in and out of soaps, and it's a wonderful discipline, I think.
Your character, Stan, died of prostate cancer in April of this year. What's it like dying on TV?
Well, I've died on TV a few times now, but as you get older, it gets slightly more worrying.
Do you have a good death face?
I was determined to die with my eyes open.
So what did you do when you were actually dead? Show me Stan dead.
Not very interesting, is it?
It's actually really... That was really good. In the episode featuring your death scene, you were trending on Twitter. Well, let me read some of the comments. Right. Timothy West, what a legend, great acting. Timothy West, so amazing, he'll be truly missed. The best thing to come out of EastEnders in a long time. How did that make you feel?
It's pretty wonderful, yes, yes. I mean, you don't. That's the only way you get that kind of immediate reaction. You don't get it from people, and you certainly don't get it from critics. But no, it's very encouraging.
Is it true that you ordered your own death?
Well, I did. I felt I owed it to the character that he had a finite life. You know, because otherwise I would have gone away to South Africa or prison or something and then come back and picked up a relationship.
But did your bank manager agree with this strategy or not? I mean, you've
Oh,
shut
my
the
agent.
door.
Oh,
Yes,
my
I mean, your agent must be furious.
I was there for a year. You know, I don't do many jobs for a year.
What was Danny Dyer like to work with?
Oh, he's lovely. Lovely guy.
Really?
Yeah. He's lovely. But, I mean, he swears like a trooper. I mean, I went.
He's surprised.
I went. But of course, we don't swear on EastEnders. So he could be doing all the F&C words about this bloody scene, and then says, "Oh, goodness me, that's a mess here. What have you been doing here?"
Which is the better soap, Coronation Street or EastEnders?
I think there is no answer to that because...
I think you'll find there is. I beg to differ. The answer is Coronation Street or EastEnders.
I don't think they actually do the same thing. Coronation Street is funnier, and I like that.
EastEnders, more miserable?
EastEnders, it deals with more up-to-date subjects, and that's good.
So EastEnders is unfunny. What?
It's not unfunny, but it's...
You see what I'm trying to do? I'm trying to provoke you into taking a firm position, right?
Righto.
If you could only watch EastEnders or Coronation Street for the rest of your life, which one would you watch?
I think I'd watch EastEnders.
Would you
because
really?
Because I know more about it now.
Really? With all your former Coronation Street colleagues watching, you are now absolutely distraught at the way you've thrown them under, at the way you've thrown them under a bus. What do you have to say to them?
I would say it was his fault.
Is he a good laugh, Charles?
I think so, yes. Tell jokes and...
Really? What jokes do you tell Charles and Camilla? You love travelling. We've discussed this. Where do you get that wanderlust from, do you think?
Probably from my dad, I suppose. I mean, I'm a strolling player, really, I think. I've always felt that it's very unfair that nowadays, if you don't live, work and sell your wares within the M25, you're somehow... you haven't quite arrived, you know, you're not really there. And I think there are so wonderful theatres, beautiful theatres, and wonderful, intelligent, hungry audiences all around this country who have to be served. And things are not making it easy for them at the moment.
Tim, alongside stage and screen, you performed everywhere from a royal palace to a soapbox. Timothy is much more than just an actor.
Tim is an inveterate campaigner. He cannot see a problem without wanting to do something about it.
Timothy's lobbied for a wide range of social and political causes, from protecting local shops and libraries to education and tax.
Tim comes from a generation that believes he was given a lot and that you have to give something back.
He will do everything and anything to promote what he thinks is the right thing to do.
For a man unafraid to take on the establishment, Timothy's also forged close friendships with royalty and gets called upon for state occasions.
The simple creed of childhood, whether busy or at rest.
It's Prince Charles' favourite poem, and he asked my dad to read it at his wedding to Camilla, which I think he felt quite honoured to do.
For those obstinate questionings of sense and outward things, fallings from us.
I don't think it was because he was looking for a CBE. In fact, he'd already got one, so he can't have been that.
And when he's not appearing at royal weddings, Timothy's opening railway stations.
My name is William Henry Barlow, consulting civil engineer to the Midland Railway.
As a great lover of railways and as a man who goes very well into a top hat, he was asked to perform at the opening of St Pancras International as the original architect.
This is the station that I designed, built and opened, form embracing practical purpose.
Timothy's first love remains the theatre.
Let him shout. It's good to see his eyes flashing behind those bank clerk spectacles.
What he is a real theatre animal.
Tim is an actorholic. You would have to chain him up to stop him from finding a part to play.
Your video doesn't do you justice, Maria Bongay.
Timothy starred in more than 100 stage productions and continues to perform in venues all over the country.
He takes theatre to the broadest possible audience.
Now, what are you going to do? Have you forgotten all I said? That book I gave you, Bound in Red.
Even when he's doing great parts in huge soaps that millions of people are watching, he's looking to his next play and his next tour, even at the age of 80.
I don't think it's over yet. I think he's got a lot to offer.
He is now on a high, and I wish him every joy of it. It's fantastic. He bloody well deserves it.
I'm always very proud of whatever he does, and he usually reduces me to tears somehow, with pride.
I don't think he'll ever stop. I mean, why should he?
How did you land that royal wedding gig?
I don't know. Prince Charles has always liked things that I've done on cassettes. You know. I've done most of the novels of Anthony Trollope, and Prince Charles listens to them in his car. So he thought, that's a voice I like.
And what was your reaction when you...
I was very, very, very pleased and honoured. It was a good do.
I bet it was. Yeah. What did they say to you on the day, the happy couple?
Oh, well, we meet occasionally. I mean, he's somebody who's very involved in a lot of things that I think are very important, and I'm very, very impressed by what he does.
Is he a good laugh, Charles?
I think so. Yes.
Yes. Do you hang out with him now? Are you?
Well, we
had a dinner at Highgrove? Or?
No, we haven't done that. No, we've been to Sandringham, and that was.
What happens
very
when
nice.
you go there?
Oh, lovely. We sort of tell jokes and.
Really? What jokes do you tell Charles and Camilla? What's your best royal joke?
When I was artistic director of the Vic, and the Queen Mother came to her show, and we were asked to look after her, and she wanted to meet the cast afterwards on the stage, so we'd arranged for quite a lot of, we were told to provide quite a lot of champagne. That was mandatory to the whole proceedings. So we did, and she wanted to meet everybody, all the cast and crew and everybody, and so she came up onto the stage, and the first person she met was Graham, our second electrician, and who I think had recourse to a couple of glasses of champagne before. And so she said, and hello, and what do you do? And he said, oh, I'm second electrician now. Oh, and she said, that sounds a very responsible job. Well, yes, I was operating tonight. I was on the board, and we had a bit of trouble. She said, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. He said, yes, I don't know if you're familiar with these transistorized boards at all. She said, well, no, not personally. He said, well, take them from me. They are a load of rubbish. Actually, you know, we had a blackout, and I very nearly couldn't give you 17A. And she said, really? And he said, yeah, and if I hadn't had a spare floppy on the drawer, I would have had to give you a DBO. Had to give you a DBO. She said, oh, I'm so glad you didn't. Come on.
What did Charles say when you told him this?
Yes,
he loved
that. Yes.
So you're now 80 years old.
Yeah.
Your friends and family can't ever imagine you giving up work. Could you imagine retiring?
No, I don't think so, no. Why would I? Well, I mean, I might be asked to by colleagues.
Do you think someone would say to you, we want you to retire? We've had enough of it?
I think you better go now, yes. yes.
How would you like to be remembered?
I think just as somebody who kept trying to get it right.
Did you ever achieve that, do you think?
Yes, I think so. Yes.
What are the things you're proudest of? We've been through so much of your life and career here.
I think the thing I'm genuinely proudest of is having recorded those Anthony Trollope novels.
Really?
Because I don't think anybody could have done it as well as me, and I won't... I don't think I can say that about anything else I've done.
And what about personally, in your personal life? What are you proudest of?
I became a great-grandfather the other day.
Did you really?
Yes.
Congratulations.
I don't mind the title at all. What I do get a bit uneasy about is being the father of a grandmother. That doesn't sound quite the same, does it?
Timothy, tonight you've been fascinating. Thank you very much for sharing your life with me.
Been great, thank you.
Well, what a weekend it's going to be for Che, Louisa, Reggie and Bolly. The X Factor final is live from Wembley tomorrow and Sunday night at 8. Gerard Butler leads a great cast in the movie 300 tonight at 10:40. That's right after the ITV News at 10, which is on the way next.
Timothy West is a living legend. He's been in big films, big dramas.
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
He's played everyone from Churchill to Stalin to a curmudgeonly old devil in EastEnders.
I'll tear her apart for what she's done to you.
I can't think of anything that I desperately want kept quiet. We shall see. Maybe Piers will have thought of something.
He's had an amazing career, despite having all sorts of traumas in his private life. His wife, Prunella, one of the legends of British television, has had Alzheimer's for the last 15 years, so he's had a lot to deal with. He thinks I'll go a bit easy on him tonight, I'm sure. But why should I? He's a tough old bruiser.
I don't mind it being combative if he's got something he wants to argue about. Piers, I'm very much looking forward to meeting you for the first time. Let's have fun.
Timothy, how are you?
I'm all right. You're going to call me Timothy. People only call me Timothy if they're cross with me.
What do you like to be called?
Well, it'll be Tim, all right. Is it? Tim? Okay.
I think Tim would be fine. I mean, most people
Okay.
actually think you're Sir Timothy. They think you've been knighted, but you haven't actually been knighted yet.
Well, they haven't told me.
You should have been knighted by now, I think.
I don't think so. No.
Do you think?
No.
I think you should have been.
Oh, no.
Timothy, in your 60-year career as one of Britain's most distinguished actors, you've played a remarkable range of people. Churchill 3 times. What kind of preparation did you do to do Churchill?
Well, I mean, we all know the way he delivered his speeches and what he sounded like, because he used to work on them very intensely beforehand. He used to rehearse a lot. So it was a very, very conscious delivery. But you think, well, that can't work when you're just asking for a cup of tea or a glass of brandy, in his case.
Can you still do a good Churchill?
I think so. I'm going to do it now, because you can't afford it. No.
We have very deep pockets, Tim, very deep pockets. Yeah. Give us a little burst, go on.
Well, I am sitting here listening to this man, Piers Morgan, or whatever his name is, and he's asking me to do an imitation of myself, which I find rather distasteful. You want him more? No, you don't.
You've also played Mikhail Gorbachev in a TV movie, and you were filming in Manchester, and you nipped off from playing this great, heroic figure to have a look around the Coronation Street tour.
Yes, I did. I was rather fascinated. So I slipped out of a side door, and I was in my costume and makeup of Gorbachev with the birthmark and glasses, and I shouldn't have been there. And somebody, one of the workmen, said, "Hey, who are you? What are you doing here? Do you work here?" And I said, "No, I'm the General Secretary of the United Soviet Socialist Republic." And he said, "Oh, well, you'll have to ask at the main gate."
Did you get in as
Yes,
Gorbachev?
I did, actually, yes.
And did you carry on pretending you were him?
Yes, I did.
Let me get this straight. They actually just let you in as the Russian leader into the Coronation Street set.
It would be dangerous to keep him out.
You've travelled the world as an actor. You've been recognised in some very strange places. You've also been misidentified. And there was a wonderful occasion when a fellow holidaymaker insisted that you were somebody he knew from his workplace. How does the conversation go?
He said, "Oh, hello, I haven't seen you lately at the centre." And I thought, BBC Television Centre. No, I haven't been, but it's still going, is it? I said, well, yes, as far as I know, yes. Yes, I've seen a lot of things going on. And so he said, well, but it's still in Aylesbury, is it? I would, no.